That's so whack. Why is that all whack like that? Daj, sine. Why is this still on a slant like that? Why is it on a slant like that? Dođi, tata ljubi glavu, dođi. Bravo. All right. Isaac, what's happening, man? Kaizen. Yeah, man. These curls, arm wrestling curls. There's something else, man. When you couple them with the other movements, it's really, really good, man. Really good. Daniel, what's happening, man? Bees, what's happening? Yeah, everything is good, Isaac. Yeah, good. Can't complain, man. Life is good. Just last few days, I've kind of felt another kind of like nasally thing going on. So I haven't benched in like 3 days, I think. 3-4 days. I haven't benched hard. So just doing a lot of arm wrestling kind of stuff, you know, for the arms, for the elbows. I'll do that again today. And obviously, you know, the hip stuff, just a lot of accessories. I've been thinking about last few days to actually stop benching altogether, you know, stop that groove that I was in, purely just because it's winter, man. I just got over a sickness and then got into it pretty hard again, and then bang, again. I feel like, you know, runny nose and all that stuff. I feel good. Like I feel good. It's just I know I'm not 100% again. So there's no point banging my head against the wall, man. You know what I mean? Bees says, has the West truly fallen? No, it's falling. You'll know when it falls. Don't worry. It's when China takes over, I think. That is rough as. Man, that is good. Oh. Kevin says, hey Vaughn, what about JM presses for your elbows? Been there, done that. It's got nothing to do with triceps or biceps. It's got everything to do with the forearms. My forearms are shit, and that's what was causing the problems. But yes, my initial reaction was when the elbow started hurting was that it was something got to do with the upper portion of my arm, but it wasn't. I tried all sorts of stuff. Hammer curls, normal biceps, straight bar, easy bar. What else did I try? Obviously lots of tricep. With this, with the straight bar, overhead. I tried all sorts of stuff. Nothing really helped me until I started doing forearm work like pronation work and rising. This is rising. Pronation work is this. And then I did supination as well. Yeah. And recently I started doing flexion just for the sake of completeness, but I don't think that's the key to all of that. Are squats first today? No, squats haven't been first in months now. Ever since bench took priority, I haven't done squats first at all. Squats is on the back burner right now. But as soon as it starts to warm up, I'm gonna go back into heavy squatting again. 180 kilos for AMRAPs. Some of you guys might remember what that looked like back in the day. But that's what I'll be doing. And so whatever I'm focusing on in that particular period, what comes first. For me to do squats and then do bench press after, doesn't work. You don't do it justice. Whatever you do first is gonna get your most, drive. And so pick a focus and do that first. Rama, what's happening, man? What's going on? Isaac says, just bought a new rack for my garage. I need to get back into it. I've been off and on, but mostly off. For about 2 to 3 years. I messed up a disc in my back at a steel company I was working at. Damn. Isaac, man, the only way it's going to ever get better is if you attack it. Rest is one thing that I'm convinced is rest is not really good for most things. The body atrophies, the body gets only weaker when you rest. Obviously 1 or 2 days rest is fine, like your bodybuilder splits is fine, but like resting a back injury for multiple months or multiple years in your case, it only gets worse, dude. You have to fix that. And it's good that you can put a new rack, maybe that's gonna drive you into it a little bit. Do I do deviation as well? Yeah. Deviation, mostly radial deviation. I do that with my hammer. Actually, I did some before. But when you do rising, like you saw that thing, bicep curls, hammer curls with the strap, that actually challenges the radial deviation, because otherwise your wrist will fall over. So you got to hold your wrist straight when you're doing it. And so that's an excellent one that kind of puts both of those motions in one. in one movement. How's that? Well, that's annoying, isn't it? Off you go. Alrighty. Smash that to bits. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, it is always tough getting to this. Oh. Oh. Good Lord. I feel like the hips are going to tear. Isaac says, core has always been a weak point of mine. What do you like doing the most? See, core, there's a lot of different exercises for core, obviously. You can do anything. I feel like core is one of those things that people say core, but there could be a million different things, you know, and like I always say to everyone, specificity is key, man. You know, just because you're really good at sit-ups doesn't mean you're ready to handle 1,000-pound deadlift. You know what I mean? So in order for you to get really good at squats and deadlifts, you're going to have to do some sort of like specificity to that. And so for a long time, I've kind of believed that the best way to train the core is to actually visit some of these movements quite often. You know, so if you want to get really good at squats, the core for squats, you just need to do sub-maximal work with squats. That's the only way you're going to get better. Like I truly believe if you've got a back injury, the best way to go for you is to do deadlifts, some sort of deadlift pattern. That doesn't mean you use the bodybuilding ideology and you just take that shit to failure every single time you touch deadlifts. No, that is not what I mean. You know, there's a lot of talk in the community like, you know, fluff or just, you know, empty volume, rubbish volume, whatever the term is. You know, they talk about like, there's no point doing some of these sub-maximal moves, exercises for, you know, sub-maximum volume and reps and sets. It's just, there's no point. Either you're going all out or you're not going at all. And then to that, I just like, I struggle with that because there's so many different other fields that talk about practice. There's something to be said about practice, and bodybuilders never do any practice. You don't practice anything as a bodybuilder. All you're doing is chasing hypertrophy. And I think this is one of the reasons I think a lot of people get into trouble because they don't, maybe I'm on the other part of that scale. People don't look at movement and go, okay, I'm going to practice that movement, like squat every day. People are like, what do you mean? Because they've got their bodybuilder hat on. They're like, well, you can't die on the squats every single day. It makes no sense. Practice. Newsflash. You can practice something without tearing everything down. You can practice. And a lot of people are like, boring, moving on. Fine. But there's something to be said about practice. You know, like I watched a video today, just something that's really fresh in my mind from that Devin Larac guy, the arm wrestling guy. And he's got like a bunch of these little stations at home where he's got like, he's doing pronation and rising exercises, a bunch of different belts, a bunch of different weights. And he literally just walks up to these things and just does one rep, all these different movements. And then he walks out. It takes like 5 seconds, right? And when the guy was like interviewing him, he was like, what is this? And he's like, practice, I'm practicing. That's all you need. So not every single time you come into the gym do you have to go to absolute failure and smash yourself. You can practice. And I think that practice is what teaches the body how to move, teaches you how to hip hinge, teaches you how to do something with perfect execution. Whereas if you're always going into that failure and that form is always deviating because you're tired, I wonder if that really hurts people mostly because they are not spending enough time practicing and they're doing too much sloppy repetitions because they are bodybuilding. So, you know, I can say stuff like leg raises, sit-ups, I can say suitcase carries, I can say all of these things to you and be like, yeah, no worries, everyone says the same thing. But what if I said to you, just squat every day? Or whatever you want to do, deadlift every day, or hip hinge every day, or whatever the hell you want to do. Do something that involves a lot of core every single day. And I'm not asking you to exert yourself to the maximum, just something that's a respectable weight and that has you bracing every single day. People confuse bodybuilding and they go like, okay, if your muscle's not burning, you're not doing anything. My friend, there's a lot more to the body than just muscle tissue. It's not just muscle tissue that we're concerned with ourselves with. There's something called nerves. There's ligaments and tendons. And ligaments and tendons, just for your own information, they don't get a lot of circulation. They're not vascular. They don't have a lot of blood supply. And so they thrive with high frequency. But these bodybuilders don't care about that, right? It's all about just smashing your muscle once a week and then running away. But what about the tendons and the ligaments? Is anyone going to say anything about that? There's different types of tissue in your body. Sure, the muscle will recover in 7 days. It's a vascular tissue. You'll get stronger. But what about some of these other structures? What about nerves? What are nerves like? Newsflash, they also like high frequency. Have you played basketball or soccer or any other sport before? And if you don't play for a week, you pick it up after 7 days, you're kind of a little bit sloppy. No, that's why you practice. You need to practice these skills. And you know, a lot of confusion goes into practice. Like Ivan, bodybuilding or rather powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, that is not a skill sport. Weightlifting is much more than anything else I've mentioned. It's about muscle. It's about power, strength. No, man. Even a non-technical lift like squats and deadlifts, they need practice because their core, how your routine, how you brace, how you control, how you get tight, and how you lift, all of that needs practice. And so some of these people that get injured might not just be, they have a weakness. They're just not skilled enough to do that thing that they're trying to max out on. So this is the biggest criticism I have of bodybuilding, is they're not very skilled at some of these things. because they're always going to failure and their form is always deteriorating every single set they do. Think about it, like they always go to failure, right? And so the last 3 or 4 reps, let's say it's going to be sloppy. Some bodybuilders don't even do squats and deadlifts at all. There's so much talk on the internet about not even doing that at all. And so how are you supposed to be athletic when you don't practice anything remotely athletic? For a bodybuilder, that would be a waste of time. Their only concern is hypertrophy. Whereas if you want to get quality movement, at some point you're going to have to train that movement, not the muscles of the movement. Train the movement like it's a basketball shot, like it's a snatch or clean and jerk. These guys are always practicing the skill of moving. And this is something that a lot of people in this space, they don't appreciate it. Like you're buying squat every day. Dude, I don't bodybuild squat every day, man. Like, can we all just stop thinking that every single person that trains in the gym is a bodybuilder? I'm not a bodybuilder, dude. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm interested in movement, quality of movement. I'm practicing the squat every single day. No, my legs are not going to be 6 times the size because I'm squatting every day. That is not. Yes, some of my training is also hypertrophy, but not everything is about hypertrophy. I just find that really interesting, and people just, they just have that one-dimensional view on everything, you know. You know, they think everyone that does weights is on their path to becoming Arnold Schwarzenegger. No. Maybe somebody just wants to be a really fast sprinter. It's got nothing to do with bodybuilding. Ashtap says 6 years. Damn, that's a dedication. Yes, time flies no matter what you do. The Real Happy Donut says, hey man, you've inspired me to get back into squats a few years ago. I was at my strongest. I was able to hit 185 doing a squat daily program, then got injured, but I'm back at it again. Nice, man. Oh, good to hear. Well done. Good to see you back. Hadi says, hope you're doing well, Ivan. Happy to check in. Are there any exercises you prefer for hip rotation? Which particular part of hip rotation, external or internal? Both depends on what you need. Daniel says, have you measured your legs? Mine are 26 flexed. Never, man. Desert Island scenario, what choice of meal would you eat for a whole year if you had the choice of choosing chicken and rice, pizza, steak, veggies, sushi? Oh, probably steak and veggies. Yoski, as a rock climber, we do finger hangs 2 times a day at low intensity to condition the tendons. The guys who neglect this and just do max weight hangs 2 times a week are very prone to injury in the pulleys. Yeah, absolutely. I remember injuring one of my pulleys. Can't remember which finger, which hand. I was doing the hand crusher, the grippers. I was doing them all the time. It was my little kind of thing. I even took one to work and I was showing the guys at work, you know, hook and closer, blah, blah, blah. It's one of those Captain of Crush grippers. I got 2 of them. I've got the T, the trainer, and I've got number 1. So I took it and I was kind of doing it, you know, whatever, set at 5-10 every so often. And it was kind of like really cool to see what people had, you know, strength-wise. And then one morning I woke up and I was in the car was warming up and I just gripped it and I felt like a bit of a pop. And that was the end of that. It took me a little while to kind of feel good again. But yeah, it's since come good. This was like probably 2 years ago now. But yeah, that's when I learned about pulleys. And there's a guy at work, one of the nurse practitioners who's big into rock climbing, has traveled all around the world and rock climbed. He's like big into it. And he told me about the pulleys. And yeah, never heard of that word before until then. So yeah. Mobility training is highly underrated. Same with flexibility. People forget the more loose you are, the more explosive you can be. Yeah, it's about positioning, right? It's all about positioning. It's a physics equation. If you can't access the right leverage, you're going to be stacked, the weight's going to be stacked up against you. Bodybuilders are very tight. It also had, I packed in martial arts community, making misconceptions that lifting is bad, while reality, you want to do mobility lifting. Yeah, dude. Bodybuilding is great for many different things, but it's not the only modality of training. I just hope people understood that. But the biggest community in this space is the bodybuilding community, and most people wear that hat. All they think about is protein synthesis. All they think about is bro splits and which program and how big can you get and testosterone counts, and that's the only stress they have. But there's so much more to it. Fighting butt, what's happening, man? I tried push press for the first time today. It honestly seems like a fun time. It's not as technical as a jerk, so it's not too bad to get into. Yeah. Push press is cool. If you're doing a push press and you're not kind of like jerking it, I don't know if you've got it on the front rack or not, or we just have it in your hands. Yeah. I feel like it's a lot better when it's in the front rack and you can actually use your legs to transfer that weight. Daniel says, I bet you have 28 to 29 inch legs. Yeah, no idea, Daniel, man. Hattie says, either I have stiff hips and don't know too much rotation exercises other than pigeon pose, stretches, 90-90 switches. Hattie, if you have no hip internal rotation or external rotation and you're just generally tight, I don't think the best bet is to actually just start stretching. Static stretching, I've got a really bad relationship with static stretching. It is not good. It's probably the most ineffective way to get usable mobility. Notice I said mobility, not flexibility. Mobility is the ability to move through large ranges of motion. Flexibility is how much can your muscles actually just at rest, how much can they give. What you want is your muscle to be able to be strong at the end range of motion. That's what mobility is. So something like this, what you see me doing here, this is a static stretch, right? But it's not, because it's a PNF stretch, right? So I'm stretching, but then I will contract the shit out of this in a second or two. And that's gonna be a lot more effective than just me sitting in this position aimlessly for an hour. Because nervously, you are teaching that muscle to be okay and to be strong at the end range. And that is what allows you to get longer muscles. It kind of releases that, it releases the fascia, which kind of locks everything down. You know, in fact, our muscles are not very tight. It's the fascia around it that gives us that tight feeling. Muscles are like rubber bands, really. They can go a lot longer, but it's that fascia that locks us down. So this, in a way, is teaching the nervous system to say, no, the adductors are pretty happy in this position. Look, they can actually move and they've got strength in this really, really end range. So if you're interested in getting hip internal rotation, I would focus on single leg work, lunges, split squats, that type of thing. ATG split squats is another really good thing, like where you're really, really sending it in range of motion. All of that is fantastic. You can do that for internal rotation. And for external rotation, it's a lot of bilateral work, like ATG squats. So my external rotation of the hip has always been good because I do ATG squats. So if you spend a lot of time bilateral with the bilateral exercises with huge ranges of motion like ATG squats or deficit deadlifts, conventional deficit deadlifts, you're going to have plenty of external rotation. The internal rotation for most people is the one that's lagging behind, and that's usually the best way to get that is to just spend a lot of time with single leg work and actually move and flex those muscles through those ranges of motion. Don't just sit in a pigeon pose or a 90-90 stretch. That is very ineffective. I've had times where I've stretched like a madman for 2 hours, let's say tonight. The next morning I wake up, I'm tired as ever. What the hell was that? No progress. Oh, that is good. Oh. Benjamin says, I know a couple pretty elite level powerlifters and they are so insanely flexible, it baffles me. The way they can open their hips to sumo is such an important part of it, not only the pure strength. Oh, absolutely. Well, positioning is everything. Positioning, like if you can't access the right spots, you can't maximize the physics of the movement. And I think a lot of guys are in that spot. They're just fighting the weight and they're fighting themselves because they just can't get into the correct position. And if you know anything about physics, like if I was to go pick up this machine and I'm trying to pick it up from here, that's impossible, damn near impossible. But if I get really, really close to it and I get my hips as close to this thing possible and I pop my fingers underneath, I can tip the whole thing over, right? It's physics. It's not just about pure strength, it's about physics. And people's mobility just locks them out from using their full potential. Prime example is here. I'm one of them as well. We all have that to a degree. It is not sexy work to work on your mobility and positions, but with time in the gym, eventually you will start to learn the importance of it. Some people take a little longer than others, but you will start to understand that the laws of physics don't bend for anybody, man. Either you're gonna abide by them or you're gonna lose. Simple as that. Carabus. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. You ever did deficit deadlifts? Yeah, man. I've done deficit deadlifts for sure. Harry, that's great advice. Thank you. You will try focus on single leg movements. Okay, but let me know how you go, man. You have a good day, Carabus, man. Hopefully your day gets a bit better, man. Try to spend a little bit more positivity in your life rather than hating on people online. I'm sorry life has treated you so poorly that you have this need to anonymously go onto somebody else's live stream and try and pour poison into their life. Hopefully you mature a little bit more, or hopefully life treats you a little bit better. But it always starts with you, man. If you treat other people better, they might treat you back better. All right, man. Hopefully you have a good day. Joshua, what's up, man? Christiana. I'm surprised that a guy does this exercise. Why are you surprised? Is it only girls have legs, or do guys have legs as well? Is it just only girls have legs? Isaac, thank you for the advice, man. It's midnight over here in Cali, so I'm headed to bed. I'll be keeping you and your family in my prayers tonight. Have a good one, brother. Isaac, God bless, man. Thank you so much for those kind words, and keep training, dude. Keep trying to get better. I'll see you next time, man. Spark55 says, another thing is rotation. Many tight backs. I myself try rotational rows, but gotta be very slow and steady with intensity, mobility, trying more volume, less intensity. Oh yeah, always start like that. Always start with high volume, low intensity. Whatever you do, whenever you introduce something else, something new to the mix, start slow, man. Sets of 20 is something I do all the time. Some exercises don't belong in the low repetition range, you know. What do I get out of maxing this for 1 rep? Yeah, sure, once in a blue moon, but you want to get some volume into that. You know, get the muscle pumped, get the tendons pumped. Hadi says, are there other exercises you do that have the rest position be a deep stretch like this? Can't think of many. This is one of the best ones. Flies is another one. Flies open up your rib cage like nobody's business. I think this and flies is probably the best ones. And maybe a Romanian deadlift off a deficit. Those 3 are probably my favorite. If you have access, you can also get the, I mean, you don't need that machine, but like the pullover. The Nautilus pullover machine is fantastic. You can do it with a dumbbell. It's a little bit different. But like anything that stretches you this way or that way or this way, it's unbelievable. Or like bending over, excellent. Big, big fan. Oh, look at that. Real man OP steps up to the plate. Oh, look at the real man. Oh, look at that real man. We need a real man around here. Maybe he like this and his... Look at these boys. Why don't you fellas swap your usernames for your real names and step up to the plate so people know who you are? How about that? Hiding behind these little sexy usernames and then trying to agitate people. Come on, real man. Step up to the plate. Let's see what you got. Do you ever encounter knee pain when doing RDLs or stiff-legged? No, Kevin. I'm surprised you asked that. Usually, when you're doing stiff-legged work or RDL work, the knees are out of the mix completely. I'm interested to know why you've got knee pain. Interesting. Is it just when you're doing those 2, or is it you get knee pain in other movements as well? Yeah, that is some good shit. Oh. Oof. Man, that is incredible. Every single day I do this shit, I think to myself, this is incredible. Fuck, what a machine, man. How can I say this to myself every single day? Still impresses the shit out of me, this machine. All right, fellas, let's step up to the next station. The next all right, boys. Let me turn this on, eh? A little bit of light in here. Oh. Yeah, I was gonna say that this is. Yeah, Tony, that's it, man. Hey, they're probably bots. You ever notice these bots in the comments? There you go. Bots everywhere. Yeah. I've struggled with pain in the area where the shoulder and upper pec kind of meet. Shoulder and upper pec kind of meets on deadlifts. Have you encountered this? Oh, interesting, dude. No, I haven't. It's so interesting to me how, like we all do the same movements, right? Like just say squats, deadlifts, whatever. But some people have such vastly different experiences doing some of these movements. It's always interesting to me, you know? Alrighty. Let's warm up with this. Cuddy says, "Well, I didn't realize you added blocks for the extra stretch. That's awesome." Yeah. Extra stretch, extra range of motion. Makes you feel extra good, man. Kevin says, "I do my right knee. Maybe overextending. Only pain with the posterior chain movements. I do heavy Bulgarian split squats and leg extensions and try to feel it but it only comes on radials." Oh, interesting. I wonder if it's like a calf or hamstring, like one of those tendons that's causing you the pain in the knee. One of the calves actually crosses the knee as well. So, and obviously there's some hamstrings that, go into the knee as well. So it'd be interesting to see whether, the first thing that I think about is maybe do some calf raises before you do those IDLs, just to see if that changes it, if that kind of makes it, just kind of work around, try to do some activation movements. Maybe do some lying leg curls before you do IDLs to see whether that kind of warms it up a little bit, some calf raises. That's what I would kind of think about before doing them. Just to kind of fine tune and pick up exactly what tissue is causing it. You ever thought of Nordic curls in the routine? I don't like Nordic curls, Spark, man. Not a fan of it. I don't like doing any exercise for just the negatives. It makes no sense to me. Do leg curls, it's fine. Auntie Noble Natty says, "I'm not bot and I think you're doing..." "I think it may be a problem in my lockout that my left shoulder is too rounded. So it puts a load on the front of the shoulder." Are you doing under over grip? If you're doing alternate grip, man, I I don't like that, man, because one arm's always copying it more than the other, and the shoulder girdles. There's like a helicoptering effect. There's uneven forces, and you're loading it up to the max. I just really don't like the idea of alternate grip. I'm interested to see whether you do alternate grip, and maybe that's the source of all your trouble. Oh, clavicle break, maybe. Yeah, rotator cuff could be. You're doing hook grip. Yeah, I don't like, yeah, it's good to hear that you're doing hook grip. That's the best grip, man. If I was to ever compete, I would just do that. Screw the over under, man. That's just not my idea. Shine, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if these are bots or what's going on here, man. Lots of weirdos on here right now. Spark says, if you get enough, you can do naughty curls to pull up. But makes me curious, what do you do for hamstrings? Yeah, if you get strong enough with, makes me curious, what do you do for hamstring? Right now, nothing. I don't really do anything specifically for hamstrings. Nothing at all. I've had periods of absolutely demolishing my hamstrings on many different occasions, and I've kind of worked out that I don't believe that is a weak link for me. A lot of time when you train, man, there's things that you know you need to work on. There's other things that you feel like you're strong at. I feel like my hamstring curls, my hamstrings in general have been okay for many, many years. Basically, anything I get to my knee is an easy lockout for me. It's just not even a question. Like, I've never failed anything, basically mid-shin upwards. For me, the problem is getting the weight to my mid-shin. So, like, I've got different leverages, obviously, different requirements. So for me to train my lockout or hamstrings in general just never made any sense to me. Not never, always made sense to me, but recently I'm like, it's not something that I want to do. And so I'm training my weaknesses. But if let's say you're somebody that pops off the ground with the deadlift, you pop off and you're really, really strong and you stop here and you can't do this bit, you can't do the last portion, okay, sure. Hamstrings, glutes, all that stuff, core, abs, trying to finish that properly. But if that is not your weakness, then put the energy somewhere else. And it's always like that with training. You're always kind of looking at the rate limiting step. It's a chemistry expression, right? Which step is limiting the whole thing? And for many, many years, I've kind of realized, shit, when I do this, this, and this, things improve. Like, for instance, last December, even before last December, did a lot of work on my quads and my upper back with rows. Fucking hell, never felt strong in my life. Deadlift started ripping like easy. 285 came last December on the deadlift. 285, wow, what happened? Did I do any hamstring curls? No. Did I do any glute work? No. What did I do? I did months on end of quads, hack squats, leg press, belt squats, and I did months on end of heavy rows. Low rows, high rows, bent over rows. Those two things added up to me like nothing else. So hamstrings for me, not right now. Maybe I'll get down the line where I need to train hamstrings. But training needs to be tailored, man. You need to work out what you need. This idea of carpet bombing everything is not the most effective way, because Not everything is a limiting step for you. So try and find that. And that in itself is freaking hard just to work out what you need to focus on next. Everyone's got something. Now, let me turn these lights on, I think. It's getting a bit on the darker side now. Flick this on. Sometimes these lights don't want to turn on. I really should get an electrician out here to replace these lights. These halogen lights, man, they've had their time. Not watched since you painted your gym black, and what's been the focus for 2025? Ashley, dark. Oh, Ashley, man, the year started off with a deload after ending last year really strong. And then I came out of the deload and I came out of it hurt. Pulled the groin and then spent months trying to rehab that. And then while I've been kind of rehabbing that, my bench took off a little bit. So I did 155 on bench. I've been focusing on bench for a good 6 months now. And I will continue through the winter. And then once I come out of the colder months, I'm going to go back to focusing on squats and then finish the year again deadlifts. So that's kind of how 2025 is going to be for me. The kid lifted close to 1,000. Tyson said his favorite cue was to stay in your quads. I laugh at it, but it helps so much when you struggle. Yeah, there you go. At what age did you come to the conclusion that... Oh, Lord. Seriously, man, I'm sure you got something better to do. Any tips for hyperextended knee, and would you know the anatomy around it, like the structural damage? Hyperextended knee. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the PCL. That's probably had a stretch. I think if you've had like structural damage like that, you'll need to rest a little bit for all that inflammation to settle. And then obviously, I think when you come out of the pain stage, I think you need to start working on your hamstrings. If you think about what hyperextension is in like really, large brush strokes, it's your quads contracted, your hamstrings are overpowered, and you had hyperextension, roughly speaking. I don't even know what your mechanism is, but you need some meat on those hamstrings, because those hamstrings are going to keep you in that non-hyperextended state. So that's kind of like your protector. So that's what I would do. I would spend a lot of time on hamstrings. All right, let me hit this 160 and then we'll see what's up. Let's go to 180. A little bit of 180 for good measure. I don't hear you talk about diet too much, Ivan. It's easy for you to eat regularly and healthy. or do you have to work at it? I'm struggling to maintain 180 pounds. Once again, it depends on what the struggle is. I don't know if it's you have the skinny jeans or the fat jeans. I'm the skinny jean guy. Terrible time over the years trying to put weight on. So like if I do 2-3 light days of light training, dude, I lose my appetite completely. This is what keeps my appetite up. If I do heavy lifting, I have an appetite. If I was to stop training for a month or whatever, I reckon I'd lose 5 kilos. Easy. My drive for eating is simply fully dependent upon my exertion. The more I train, the more I'm hungry. So that's my thing. You might be completely opposite. You might be the fat gene person, right? Somebody that puts on weight too easily and keeping it off is the problem. For that, I don't really have, experience with that. I don't have that problem. But depending on which, genes you have, what your nature is, you're gonna have to structure your training that way, right? Whether you do more cardio, whether you spend more time in certain seasons of the year, focusing on different things, like it's entirely up to you. Depends on who you are. This is what I always come back to, man. Like it's so dependent upon who you are as a lifter, as a person, as a personality. A lot of these things go on and on. I'll say personality as well because like not a lot of people are, happy to go to war every single week on heavy weights. Some people prefer calmer lifting, Some people like no music. You guys can't hear anything in the background, can you? I love this. This is therapy for me. Like literally, it's beautiful. For me to put music on right now, it would really freaking not be good. I love hearing this. Fucking beautiful. That's all I want to hear. Calmness, meditation, peace, philosophy, clear thoughts, non-interrupted thoughts. I love it. Absolutely love it. All right, let's see this 180, Hit this 180. Beautiful, mate. Bloody beautiful. All right, boys. Let's plonk you here. Right here. All right, a few sets of these. Skinny jeans and BJJ is making it worse. I can bulk up, but when I'm bodybuilding, but I feel like so gassed after training, I can't even get it all down. Skinny jeans, yeah, I feel you, man. And you do BJJ, yeah, man. You can't do it all. You're gonna have to pick something, man. You're gonna have to prioritize something. How do you, same problem with me, try more calories dense food when bulking. BJ says drinking whole milk is all the way to add easy calories. Oh. Yeah, I'm just hoping that these people just bugger off, to be honest with you, man. I'm not logged into myself on this phone. It's on the one that's recording. But yeah, I could get up and mess around with the phone, but hopefully these people go away and find their own corner of the internet where degenerates live. I don't know. Degeneracy is taking over the world, it seems like. Hari, yeah. It's a strange world we live in, man. There's no respect anymore. You know, I really think, you know, if they just remove this anonymous nature of the internet and, you know, people actually were by their name and you could, you know, you would cut out 90% of the shit. It's just people, these shadows on the internet with usernames. I don't have any trouble with usernames and people that are just anonymous if they're respectful. But the trouble is a lot of people like this, they go in and they are not respectful at all. And I don't know what they're trying to do, dude. Like, honestly, there's just an inconvenience at the end of the day. And they're probably bots, like you're saying as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Like humor is fine and stuff, but like, cool. I get it. You've said it once, man. Like, move on. Most people talk about the quads like doing terminal knee extension. Had issue for years on the left. Still able to be active, but not at 100%. Staying in anatomy is crucial. Yeah, like, oh man, dude, like touching on a topic that I absolutely love. Anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, all these topics are like interesting to me, even though I've never formally like studied biomechanics. You know, we obviously did a lot of anatomy and physiology in nursing school and postgraduate. And obviously you're constantly looking things up, you know, while you're in ED, working as a nurse. So there's always like, you know, continuation and progress there mentally, understanding some of this stuff. But like when you start to kind of like really, you know, look up structures, it can get confusing at first. Because there's like things like biarticulate muscles that cross over two joints, and it's like, you know, people say hamstrings are not really used in the squat, the high bar squat, but they are. Even though the muscle is not changing length, there is also an effect, right? Some of these biarticulate muscles. So like wrapping your head around, and a lot of science doesn't know 100%, you know, how to think about these things. You know, we can put electrodes on it and be like, okay, that's what's, you know, stimulating it, or not, but that is not the be all end all. Like, you know, it's like there's more to it. And so you can't just rely on the science. You also need to rely on the people in the field, especially when it comes to sports performance. Like, see what the best are doing, see what's getting results. Sure, keep an eye on the research as well and the science, but like you need to know what's actually working. If guys like, you know, all of the group of the Louis Simmons boys, the West Side Barbell, if they say to you glutes and hamstrings, and they go blue in the face saying glutes and hamstrings, you can pretty much be sure that that has something to do with the success of what they've done. So you kind of pay attention to that, you pay attention to some of the science, and you kind of try and piece it all together for yourself and your own leverages and what's going on with you. That's kind of how you have to approach this. It's not like, you know, physics, like, you know, quantum physics, where it's like everybody knows everything because the mathematics is reproducible. You can repeat the experiment and get the same result. You can't really do that in this field because you can't get the same result, right? Not even the same person repeating the same program might not be able to get the same result. Otherwise, you'd have people lifting 10 tons. You know, you do this training program that some guy told you, you put on 5 kilos. You're like, sick, let me just rinse and repeat. You repeat that shit and you don't get anywhere the second time around. It's like, why? What happened? Well, it's more intricate than that. There's a lot going on. Maybe that particular program addressed a weakness, the rate limiting step for you, but the second time you ran it, you know, that weakness is no longer the weakness, and so you're not getting much out of it. There's a new weakness that is holding you back from the next step in progression. And so the really clever trainee and the really clever coach, that can kind of almost predict the future of what the next thing is going to be. And a lot of times, if the coach is sitting at the end of the room and watching you squat and studies the way the body kind of changes and the way everything is behaving and how you're failing, they can go, you need more lateral hip strength. That's what's causing it all. Or upper back is rounding first. I reckon that was the first domino that fell. And then you kind of go from there. But it's not easy. It's not easy to predict all of that, man. Like there's a lot to it. I reckon there was three sets. Beautiful. Does learning about the origins and insertions of muscle groups apply to real lifting training situations, or is it more important for the books, like general learning? Oh, it helps, man. It helps to understand, but like, it's never that simple, dude. It's never, unless you're like really talking about isolation exercises, but it's much more complex. Like if you just look at the squat, for instance, we can study the squat and go, okay, the muscle that's contracting, getting shorter is the muscle that's working. And so you can analyze it that way, but there's muscles that are not really changing length, but they're also working. And that is the weird thing, right? That's where it gets really, really tricky. Like a lot of the core muscles, they're not doing anything, right? Their role is to resist the force and not change in the form under weight. So that's their job. They're not, let's say, the prime movers, but they can be often the prime weakness. So I think a lot of us can appreciate this scenario, which is, you can leg press some stupid amount of weight, right? You go on the leg press and you can fucking press crazy weight. But you can't even do a third of that weight on the free bar squat. What's going on there? How come you can double, let's say, the weight on a leg press, even when you account for the angle and the friction force and all the rest of it? Even when you account for that, you are like double strong in a leg press versus normal barbell squat. What is going on there? So does it make sense for you to train more quads when you're struggling to barbell squat half of the pressing power that you have on the leg press? So then you kind of say to yourself, what the hell is going on there, right? How does somebody then conclude, oh yeah, I need more quads? Well, we're just saying that your quad power is doubling the force that you're using on the barbell squat. It cannot be that your quads are the limiting factor. When you account for all of the physics and the changes of angles and whatever. So what's causing it? I've had some of the girls at my work, they're like, Ivan, I can do this on leg press. And I'm like, oh yeah, right, okay. How much can you squat? And they're like, oh, I can't really squat, I don't know why. Well, I can tell you why. The rate limiting step in the squat, counter to what popular belief is, it's rarely the quads. It's rarely the quads, dude. It is the core. It is like shoulder down to your freaking pelvis. All of that stuff. All of these joints in your back, all of the vertebra, they're all kind of like sitting on these little water-filled, let's say, discs. And it's a very unstable environment. And what holds all that shit together is like these intricate, endless amount of freaking core muscles. And so can you maintain rigidity while your legs are applying force? It's kind of like grabbing a noodle, pull noodle, and trying to push a wall with it. It deforms, right? Well, that noodle is your spine. And so no matter how much force you put into that noodle, it's not transferring it into the wall at all. It's just bending. So how do we stiffen up that noodle a little bit so we can get more force into the wall? That's how you have to think about it. Sure, some people definitely have no quads, right? We can think about that. But there's ways of testing that, right? You can test the quad strength and go, shit, I think the quad is actually quite strong enough to squat 200. What's limiting me? But people don't think like that. They're just like, oh no, we need more leg pressing. It's like, holy shit, dude. Like, you're really good at leg press. Find something that you're not good at and hit that. That's where you should be. And you go from there. But that's how I think, at least. That's my mentality. When I first started doing leg press, I was like, holy shit, I'm not very good at this at all. And also, when you do your leg press, do it in a sense where you're freaking doing it properly. Don't do this freaking quarter squat shit. Like, you're not doing anything there. That's not a good test and a good conversation at all. Do it properly. Try and mimic your squat. And if you can leg press full depth, like when I do my leg presses, there's videos out there, you can search me in my leg press. Like, I'm literally maxing the machine. Like, the machine hits itself. It's finished. And then I push. That's how leg press should be done. You know, I've seen people that can't squat half of my weight using double the weight. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like what are you training? Like, what's going on here? But whatever. People have different ideas and different theories, and they do all sorts of different things. Yeah. Oh. Ooh. All right. The next one's going to be set 6. All right. My glutes are screwed. What's the best email to reach you? In regards to what, John? What do you want to reach me for? I've got the Instagram. That's probably the easiest. That's probably the easiest thing to do. I'd also have a website with an email on it if you want to do it that way. But, you know, Instagram is probably the easiest thing. Oh, man, I'm cramping up in the bloody glutes. All right. Let's see one more, man. One more. Oh. Lord. That was epic. Epic. I love these machines, man. Incredible creations. All right, boys, that's it for me. That's all I've got. Lighter day for me, a bit of accessories. Whoop. Go get in the house and chill. What's happening with bench? I'm taking a couple of days off bench press. I'm I had the sniffles come back. And so trying to not push hard, you know, so a bunch of accessories. You saw the hips, you saw a bit of forearm work, and that's it. That's it for today. Hopefully tomorrow I feel 100% clear. I kind of said to myself I wasn't going to push hard at all on bench until I'm 100% clear. I kind of got good there for a bit, and then I started pushing hard, and then winter being winter, sniffles started coming back, and I'm like, shit, if I continue this, I'm going to get sick again. So chilling out with it. So yeah, that's what happened to bench press. Anyway, guys. John, yeah, sure. No worries, man. On simmer. I'll check it out later on. As for everyone else, appreciate you guys like always. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Like always, peace out.